I've been reading this book called LOL. I think the writer is Christy Dearling, and it's about her life growing up poor, and then she became this multi-million-dollar salesperson and I think vice president of a company. She talked about what she learned that was the poverty mentality versus people that break out of that, and that is a willingness to find a solution. That people that stay in a poverty mentality don't, and those who break out, they find solutions. They have a problem, they find a solution. That being said, people creating opportunities for themselves in LA as a writer, it doesn't even have to be in LA, but those who don't and say, I don't know what to do, can't find, I've been submitting, whatever, versus those who find a way out of that problem. What have you noticed?
Well, I think what you're saying is true. I do, let's face it, we can't have it all. We can't be perfect in every single area. And I think one of the things I've noticed, you were talking about, earlier we were talking about the fact that there are differences in how things are done in the industry now. And one of the things is there are a lot more people who are into career counseling as consultants. And sometimes when you get stuck, and especially with writers, because writers are usually so internal about how they process things. Sometimes it's hard for them to become external and try and get things out there and to do it the right way. I know that there are several people that are now career counselors who've really helped in that area to try and bring. They talk to you and find out what it is about you that they feel is special, and what is it about your writing that's meaningful, and they try to bring that out in you and for you to use that to help you to with your work. And I do think that that's something that writers can look into. Not just writers, but I know actors and actresses too. A lot of times they have to go to career coaches to help them out with that. You would think actors and actresses, you would think that they would be very external and very out there, but a lot of actors and actresses I've met, there's a lot of self-doubt sometimes behind them. And so every once in a while, if they get stuck, that's what they sometimes do. They go to career coaches to help them out. So there are career coaches that are specialists in terms of with writing.
Let's say somebody at this point can't afford that. What are some other things people can do to create an opportunity for themselves? It sounds like a writing group or any type of
writing
creative
group is wonderful. The more people you communicate with who are doing the same thing you are doing means more opportunities, because I've noticed that if one person finds a little bit of success, they're willing to share it. And like if they get an agent, or if they get a producer to read their material, they're then ready to say, oh, well, maybe I can, help this person who has a project that maybe that producer's looking for. As I mentioned earlier, that's what happened with one of my clients when she was in a writer's group. So I think that really does help. I do think it also helps if you have if you go to different, in terms of networking, there are networking groups that they have here in LA. There's one that I think it's the first Friday of each month, and I think it's called First Friday or something. But they have a group where people get together, and they will say, okay, we are meeting at such and such. Usually it's a cocktail bar or something, some group, restaurant or something. And a lot of times there's other writers there. There's also other writers who have made it, who were in that group, who sometimes come. So there's things like that. Somebody else I know said that when they first moved here, they knew no one. What they did is they went and Googled screenwriter meetup, and they came up with a list of things, and she went to every single one of those. She formed her own writers group from the people that were of interest to her, that really she felt she made a connection with it. She now has a lot of friends. She came here knowing no one. She's from North Dakota.
Oh, wow.
And she said there was nobody in her town that she put up a little thing saying any screenwriter. She put it up at the local university in her town, and there's nobody there that said anything about they're interested in screenwriting. So she felt, okay, I guess I got to move to, to California. And so she just took a leap of faith, and she did that. I mean, it doesn't work for everybody, but it sure worked for her. And she now has an agent. She has been doing punch-ups and stuff. She's really a great comedy writer. And so she's been doing punch-ups, and she's been doing some stuff for late night. They've tried her out doing some stuff for late night comedy work, to do writing there. So, it's kind of interesting to see how people start to make slow progress just by being, by the connections that they're making.
I think we all know someone that has great intentions, but that maybe they just kind of wait for emails, they wait by the phone, and they don't do anything about it. What have you seen from that sort of type that gets them out, that they stop waiting and relying on someone else, and they start making opportunities, just like the woman that started her own meetup group? I mean, I think that's an excellent idea, but that's kind of scary. I mean, that takes a leap of, yeah, I get it, she knew some of the people, but I mean, still, it's intimidating. But what do you see?
Well, I think she told me the most intimidating thing was moving from North Dakota to California.
Sure, that's scary in itself.
It was scary, but she figured if she could do that, she had nothing to. She looked at it about when she went to these meetup groups. She knew nobody. She figured she had nothing to lose and everything to gain. And I think a lot of it is your attitude when you come in. If you are looking for something and you really want it, you make the effort to let somebody get to know you better. And it does. It takes a huge leap of faith. But it's worthwhile in the long run for most people who do put themselves out there. It's not easy, but you have to do that. I mean, and there are a lot of people who just give up. And if they give up, to me it means then it wasn't meant for you. That wasn't meant for you. But if you stick with it, something eventually is going to happen. Like I told you, I interviewed over 200 of these people who are professional writers. The average was 8 scripts. There was one guy who is now on staff on television. He's a really good television writer. And I asked him, I said, well, gosh, how did you feel? You know how many scripts it took him? It took him 12 scripts.
Wow.
And I said, well, what did you do? Like when you reached 8 scripts or something. He says, you know what? I don't know. There just was something about it. I could not stop. I mean, it became like, I'm going to do this. And he just had to do it. And he just kept writing and writing. And he finally got to that 12th script. And I said to him, I said, gee, I'd like to read some of those first 10 scripts. And he goes, no, I don't think you want to. And I said, well, yeah, but I'd like to see what they were like. And he goes, you know what? I don't let anybody read them. I said, well, do you still have them? And he goes, yeah, I have them in a drawer in the bottom of my desk. And I said, well, why are you keeping them then? And he said, it's to keep me humble, because how could I even think? I look at those 10 and I say, how could I even think that I was a writer when I read those 10 scripts? I mean, it just amazed me. And this guy's quite successful. I mean, he makes 6 figures a year, as a writer. And he's doing quite well. But it took him that long. And so you have to have that determination. You just have to do it. If you can't just say, well, oh well, I guess it's not going to happen. It's like you have to do. I always tell people, it's like you're knocking on Hollywood's door. They aren't going to answer if you're not going to get that door open if you don't answer. Give them the answers, or you don't tell them anything what it is that you want. And it's not just what you want. You have to show them what you have. So want and have are 2 different things. You can dream about it, but you have to make the dream come true. Dreaming about it and not doing anything about it, that's the difference between success and failure. And some of the people that I've seen that I've known for years who now are doing quite well in the business, it's because they deserved it. They really stuck to it. They just couldn't help themselves. They had to keep writing. And they believed enough in themselves that they said, I got to do this. A lot of times they had to take 2 or 3 jobs in order to do it. A lot of times family and marriage and family came in, and went in between all of that. Because I asked one of them one time, his wife was a teacher and they have twins, and so he had to be the one to stay home and take care of the twins, which is not easy. And I asked him, how did you do it and get your assignments in on time? And he said he basically had to stay up at night and do it. He would set the alarm, he'd go to sleep at 10 o'clock, he would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, do the feeding, and then he would work for 3 hours straight until he got, and he gave himself, that he would have to write so many words, or how many scenes or whatever it is. And I mean, that's how he did it. He just stuck to it. And he said there were times when he would sit there and he would be waiting and waiting for those words to come, and it wouldn't. And he finally would just start writing down random words. And pretty soon he would come across something. And he said it would just like, oh, wait a minute, that word. Oh, okay. And then pretty soon it would start to flow. And he says he doesn't understand it to this day. He just knows it happened. And he said that's what he did. But he always made sure, he said, even on the times when he felt like he couldn't do it, he just felt if he wasn't going to write, he was going to sit there and stare at that page and just write random words until something came to him, because he felt he had to at least physically be doing it or physically typing it up for him to be able to feel that, okay, even if I'm not sitting here with an idea in mind, I'm just going to keep typing something until something strikes me. And that's literally how he said he got some of his assignments done. Some of it was trash. He didn't, he would type for an hour and nothing would come up. And then all of a sudden something would click. So I think he just felt that he had to do it. He forced himself to do it. And it worked for him. And he had the weirdest hours, but it worked for him.
Yeah.